Hello everyone! My name is Abby and today I will be doing my seasonal manga review slash first impressions. This one is going to be a bit different because instead of reviewing slash doing a first impressions of 3 mangas, I'm going to be only doing 2, but to add to that I'm going to be reviewing a Japanese anime movie that I saw recently over the summer called Josee, the Tiger and the Fish. So let's get started. The first manga that I read over the summer is called Wake Up Sleeping Beauty by Megumi Morino. I bought the first 3 volumes of the 6-volume collection, and I only bought this for $9.72 instead of paying for the regular price, which is $12.99. Again, you can buy cheaper manga if you go to Right Stuff Anime. They have really good deals there. Now, I was really interested with this manga's premise because Tetsu Misato, which is the boy and the high schooler, decides to work for Shizu Karusawa's family mansion, which is Shizu's the girl, and from then on I saw that he took a feminine role, which is different from, you know, your regular shoujo male protagonist, so I thought that was really interesting and I wanted to check more of it out. I was also captured by the nice art style of this manga. I really liked it. It's a bit more modern, I think. I think the characters are drawn out really well. I also have to commend Megumi Morino's artwork, especially on the glossy paper part of the manga. This artwork is from the 3rd volume, and look at it. Doesn't it look so cute? I look forward to these art styles whenever I read this for the first time, and I have more to show. This is from the 2nd volume. I think this one is my favorite one. It's really cute. And this one is from the 1st manga. I really think this one looks like a poster for an upcoming anime. Alright, now let's get into the plot of this manga. It all begins when Tetsu's mother becomes sick, and to help out with the family funds, he makes a bet with his dad that he can help out in his father's cleaning company. And it turns out that he's appointed to Shizu's family mansion, where Shizu is usually kept inside and away from the outside world. No one has seen her besides her parents, but Tetsu accidentally meets her by chance, and from then on their relationship kind of forms. Upon reading the first chapter, I got kind of worried because I didn't really like where the manga was going. I thought Shizu was really different from what I expected her to be, and Tetsu ends up falling in love with her just within like 1 chapter, so I thought it was like really going fast and kind of cheesy. But there's a twist, and it turns out that Shizu has a multiple personality disorder, and the person that Tetsu actually meets and falls in love with is actually a guy named Haru. So it's not actually the real Shizu. The real Shizu is actually a very shy and quiet girl. But then there's another twist, and it turns out that Shizu hasn't been totally honest with Tetsu. She's actually susceptible to possession by ghosts. So there's multiple ghosts constantly trying to take over her body. Some of them nice, some of them bad, which explains why every time Tetsu sees Shizu, it seems like she's like a whole different person. So it's not a personality disorder that she's suffering from, she's just being possessed by ghosts, which is totally normal. I was actually really surprised with this twist. It wasn't at all what I expected. I'm not into sci-fi romance except for Orange, which is my favorite shoujo manga probably, but this kept me interested and on the edge of my seat. Some things I like about this manga is the dynamic between Tetsu and the multiple ghosts that he meets, such as Haru, which is this sporty young man in his 30s. as well as Shinobu, who is Shizu's great-grandfather, as well as Mire, who is this girl who is very sassy, straightforward, and quite materialistic. I also like seeing the slow burn of this manga. I know it's not a lot of people's favorite, but for me, I really like slow burn, so I enjoyed it. Initially, Tetsu was creeped out by Shizu, which is perfectly understandable. He has a great fear of ghosts, so it explains why he kind of wanted to stay away from her and have nothing to do with her at all. But due to certain circumstances, he decided to stay with her, and it was just really nice to see him warm up to Shizu, as well as Shizu warming up to Tetsu, because Shizu is this very unexpressive, quiet young girl, so it was nice to see her kind of grow out of her shell a little bit. I have never read this kind of plot before. I don't know if there's other mangas out there that are like this, so I thought of this as really refreshing to read. It's probably one of the most memorable mangas I've ever read because of the very wild plot it has. Now, there's only 3 more volumes of this, so I'm really curious to see how the whole thing with Shizu and the possession of ghosts will be resolved. Some complaints that I have about this manga is that I really wish they showed more of Shizu, because most of the time we only saw her in the presence of ghosts, and this manga is also very heavy on Tetsu's perspective. You know, for a shoujo manga, you know, it's usually the girl's perspective that is shown, but for this one, it's heavy on Tetsu. Lastly, I think this would be a really good manga to adapt into an anime. I have a feeling that it'll be really popular, and it's a very unique storyline, so I think people will be interested in watching it. Overall, I would recommend Wake Up Sleeping Beauty to people who are into sci-fi mangas as well as romance. If you're more into the traditional shoujo manga, then I'm not sure if this is for you. I do plan on buying the rest of the 3 volumes for Wake Up Sleeping Beauty, because I'm really curious to see how this ends. The next manga series that I read over the summer is called Otomen by Aya Kanno, and I bought the first 3 out of the 18 volumes to kind of get a first impression of it. I bought this in Red Stuff Anime for $7.49 instead of the $9.99 price tag. Now, this caught my eye because I really enjoy otome games, which are dating simulators. If you're cultured, you know about it. And the title reminded me of those games. I thought it would be about that, but I was wrong. Otome actually means maiden in Japanese. So otomen refers to a girlish guy, someone who is feminine or likes girly hobbies like cooking, sewing, that kind of stuff. Before I get into the plot of this manga, I really want to talk about the art first, because I really like it. It's reminiscent of the early 2000s art style in manga that I used to read when I was young. Here you can see that the manga uses a lot of screen stones that were really persistent in mangas back in the 2000s, and this just made me smile because I really miss it when mangas used to do this, especially shoujo mangas. The ones I've read recently haven't been really using screen stones, and the characters are also pretty well drawn, especially the guys. But the girl is really cute too. Let me see if I can find a good shot of her. This is the main girl over here. Alright, now let's get into the plot. Asuka Masume is actually a high schooler. Asuka is the guy right here, and he's actually one of the best kendo players in the nation. Kendo is kind of the Japanese version of fencing, but instead of swords they use wooden sticks. Because of this, he's really seen as cool and very manly by his classmates, but in reality he's actually an otomen who likes cooking, likes cute things, likes jewelry, likes sewing, basically feminine, traditional feminine things that society thinks girls should do. Once again, I was really curious about this because he is not the traditional it may look like from his, you know, looks that he's the traditional shoujo male protagonist, but his personality certainly isn't. He's very much the opposite of that, actually. For the whole first 3 volumes, he kind of struggles with his, you know, embracing his femininity, because society often tells him like, oh, you're this manly, tall guy, like, you like this stuff? He's scared of being kind of outcasted, but he's especially concerned about the reaction of his mom, because it turns out that when he was a kid, his father decided to become transgender. And his mom did not take kindly to that and basically told him like, you're not gonna be like your dad, right? And kind of like manipulating him into staying manly. And yeah, his mom is not the vibe. I don't like his mom. She's very manipulative, and you know, it's kind of weird to see how she obsesses over his masculinity. But it's a good thing that he has friends such as Ryo and Juta. Ryo is his crush. Ryo is actually a girl, but she's a bit more manly. She has that like masculine role, whereas Juta, I'll get into him later, but Juta and Ryo essentially help him embrace his femininity and just be himself, you know? And I really like that in their friendship. They're kind of just accepting of each other and don't make a big deal out of like, oh wow, you like this stuff? Like, how could you? No, they just accept him for who he is. Actually, it says that this is a shoujo, but I'm not really sure if this is a shoujo, because there is some kind of romance dwindling between Ryo and Asuka. Actually, within like the first 2 volumes, they end up together already. But there's that couple who's like not really sure how to be the girlfriend or the boyfriend. Like they're kind of like that awkward couple. So even though they're like dating, they don't really know like, oh, what's like the proper thing to do? What's the proper thing that couples do? So it's kind of funny seeing them act that way. Most of all, I think this is more of like a comedy manga, because you know, it didn't really, well, it did make my stomach feel those like butterflies when you're reading shoujo, but most of all, it made me laugh. So you might be thinking, well, Abby, if Ryo and Asuka ended up being together in the first 2 volumes, like, what keeps this manga going? Well, I'm about to tell you. It's all because of this guy, this blue-haired guy named Juta. And this was totally unexpected, because I thought, you know, like any other shoujo manga, that the 3rd guy would be, you know, the male protagonist's enemy, or the one that likes the female protagonist as well. But no, he's actually shipping them together. He's their friend, and Juta actually writes his own manga, and he based it off Asuka and Ryo, except the genders are swapped in his manga. So Ryo plays the man while Asuka plays the girl. And he kind of likes staying near the 2 of them, because he uses it for content in his manga, because it's really popular and everyone loves it. Even Asuka reads it, but he's entirely oblivious that Juta is the one who's writing it. So it's really funny to see him like try to sneak some details, like, okay, how did the date go, or like spy on them to see what happened for some content for his manga. So it was really funny, and it's also entertaining to see him try to cover up his tracks and not let Ryo or Asuka know that he is actually a mangaka. Overall, there's nothing that I can really complain about this manga, because it's really funny, at least I think so, at least, and it's clear that the author doesn't really set out to do a shoujo, like a typical shoujo manga. And yeah, I just found this really funny. I like all the characters, I like Ryo, who, well, actually, I guess that's one complaint that I can do, is that we don't see a lot of the girl character. We don't see a lot of Ryo. It's basically just Asuka and Juta. They're like mostly the two main characters. Ryo is basically like the third character that's like kind of in the background. But overall, I really like this manga. It was pretty different from what I expected. It's not that deep, you know, you're not gonna read this and be enlightened by something new. It's just for laughs and entertainment. I do recommend this if you like shoujo and want to see a bit of more comedy in it. So yeah, and I do plan on getting the rest of this series, even though it's like an 18 volume manga. I don't know if I'm gonna buy all the 18 volumes, but I'll probably do it bit by bit since there's a lot of this. Now on to my review of Josee, the Tiger and the Fish. The way I discovered this movie was a bit interesting, and I'm not sure if people can relate to this, but I first found out about the movie when I saw a YouTube video by a Japanese musician called Eve, and it was called Ao no Waltz. You know, I am a fan of Eve's music, so I clicked on it, and first off, I love the song. I really liked it. It reminded me of a coming-of-age song that I think a lot of people would enjoy, and the visuals of his music video was just absolutely stunning. Like, I was really curious about it. I tried looking up like what movies it's from, and you know, people said it was from Josee, the Tiger and the Fish, and unfortunately it wasn't showing in America at the time, so I had to wait on it. I was just scrolling through Instagram and I saw an ad that Josee, the Tiger and the Fish is showing at a local cinema near me, and I knew I had to get the tickets. So first things first, let's just get this out of the way. The visuals are stunning. Seriously, I have such respect to animators and artists. Like, they did such a good job with this movie. You know, it's just 10 out of 10. Across the board. And so overall, yes, the animation and art is just insanely good. So now moving on to the plot. Our protagonists consist of Tsuneo, who is this college student wanting to go to graduate school in Mexico, and as his part-time job, he has multiple part-time jobs, but his main one is one as a scuba diver. And our other protagonist is Josee, or Josee, I don't know, sometimes the names slip up and I might call her Josee in accident, so please forgive me. Josee is a girl who is bound to a wheelchair, and she is taken care of by her grandma. She doesn't really get to go outside because her grandma is quite protective of her, but her grandma's amazing. I like her grandma's character. But yeah, Josee, because of her circumstances, is kind of grumpy or kind of standoffish at times, especially to Tsuneo. She doesn't really trust people that easily. But one day her grandma meets Tsuneo and she offers him a job to take care of Josee, and since he needs the money to go to Mexico for his graduate studies, he's like, sure, I'm down for it, let's go. And Josee kind of gives him the run for his money because she's not an easy person to work with. She's very kind of somewhat rude to him. She ignores him, doesn't listen to him, and there's actually one scene that I didn't really enjoy in this movie, and it was, I'm sorry, I've seen this movie back in like the beginning of July, so my memory's a bit faded, but I think it was when Josee ran away from her house, and so naturally Tsuneo tries to go look for her, and he finds her on her way to the beach, but she kind of has a hard time going there because of her wheelchair, and so she orders him to, hey, go take me to the beach, and these are her words, or else I'll tell everyone that you touched me. Whoa! Like, I did not see that coming. Like, she has made a similar kind of remark when they first met when he actually saved her from falling, she was like, oh, Tsuneo, like, he's a pervert. But, you know, I kind of like brushed it off. But like this one, where she pretty much threatened him with a false sexual harassment accusation, was like, wow. I don't know why they did that, like why the writers thought that was good, or I don't know, like I just did not like where the writers were going with that one. It was just weird and it seemed unnecessary, and no one in the theater was like laughed it off and like, ah, yeah, that's cute. like no one thought that was like a good thing to joke about or something that's cute. So yeah, that was really, I didn't like the writer's idea with that one by doing that to Josee, especially since Tsuneyo's been nothing but a good boy this whole movie. Seriously, I think one of the strengths of this movie is Tsuneyo's character, because he's such a good boy. He's the definition of a good boy. Like, if there's a boy like him in real life, I think a lot of girls would fall for him, because he's, you know, sweet, he's humble, he's hardworking, he's smart, he got like a scholarship to go to Mexico, but he still needs some money. And yeah, Tsuneyo just made me smile. He's helpful, he's pure. So yeah, now I have nothing against, you know, strong, independent girl characters in movies, obviously, but the way they wrote Josee, it was just really weird. It kind of veered more towards, oh wow, that girl's rude, rather than, oh yeah, she's just, you know, standing up for herself in this cruel world. So luckily, Josee's character got better near the end, or I guess you could say near the middle. Now, there's really nothing supernatural or anything new that the plot offered, but I still enjoyed the movie. Actually, the whole time I was watching this movie, I was thinking, wow, this would be really great if they adapted it to a live-action movie. I just had a feeling that it would have translated more to a live-action movie. I feel like since it's so grounded in reality, like the problems that the movie tries to tackle, such as, you know, disability and insecurity, and, you know, I mean, even like financial problems with like Tsuneyo's position, I thought like this would be really good if they adapted it to a Japanese live action movie, and I really hope they do. I don't know if they did it, but yeah, I think it would be really good if they did. Now, you might be thinking, why the title? You know, when I first found the title name, I also thought it was weird. Josee, the Tiger, and the Fish. That's a weird title. Kind of reminds me of Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. But, you know, they obviously call it Josee because, you know, the main girl is Josee. And the tiger basically symbolizes the society that Josee is unfamiliar with. She sees them as this threatening aura, something, basically her fears. Her fears that are like trying to attack her. And the fish is what Josee finds solace in. She really loves underwater creatures and like the underwater world, like Tsuneo. That's where she finds comfort. And so that's why the title is Josee, the Tiger, and the Fish. It's basically Josee, her fears, and her comfort. I will say, the movie, near the beginning, I was kind of about the movie, but near the end, with the twist that comes along, I was not expecting the twist at all. Like, when the twist happened, I don't want to spoil too much, but when the twist happened, I was shocked. Like, I did not see that coming. I don't know what I was expecting, but I did not see that coming. But yeah, after that twist, the movie started to ramp up, and I enjoyed it a lot more than the beginning parts of it. Unfortunately, I think the weakest part of this movie is Josee, apart from that whole comment that she did near the beginning. Her actions just confused me for the most part. I know she left like her grandma's place or something, and she tried to make up with Tsuneo, but then she never showed up to their meeting, and so she basically stood him up. I was just confused, like, things were going so well with you guys, why are you doing this, Josee? And it was just frustrating. I will say though that the ending was pretty cute, even though I'm kind of low-key kind of salty about Josee and what she made Tsuneyo go through. I feel so bad for Tsuneyo, seriously. Like, he's been nothing but good to her, and she's just like all over the place with him. So yeah, in the end, I'm just glad that Tsuneyo's happy. Would I recommend this movie? Yeah, I think I would recommend this movie if you're into, you know, Japanese romance anime. I think you'd enjoy this, but for the casual viewer, I'm not sure if you'd enjoy this. Maybe you will, maybe you won't, but yeah. And yeah, that is my manga first impression slash movie review. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye!